In liver, glycogen primer consists of glycogenin plus 3 to 4 glucose residues which are attached non-enzymatically without any enzyme. Clear? In muscle, the glycogen primer does not require glycogenin. In muscle, glycogen primer does not require glycogenin. So, the glycogen molecule thus formed goes on increasing its size by attachment of one glucose unit at a time with the help of glycogen synthase. Right? So, it will go on attaching one UDP glucose and UDP will be released and glucose will be attached to the glycogen primer. This reaction, this is glycogen with n number of residues, addition of UDP glucose, this red color glucose is attached. Now it has become glycogen with n plus 1 number of glucose units, and this reaction will continue unless it forms a very long chain, say around 10 to 12 glucose units. Then this problem will arise. See, a long chain of glucose units. But if it continues like this, then we have only 1 or 2 branches. So glycogen cannot be packed compactly. It will require more space. So in order to form branches, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, see, last 6 residues are transferred. Last 6 residues are transferred on the neighboring chain. Now you must question me, sir, if it is started from the beginning, why is the question of neighboring chain? There is no neighboring chain, there is only single chain of glycogen. Correct? True. Initially, it will be just a single chain. Now these, they have made it for your, so that you understand better. See, like this. Just give me a count. How many are there? Okay. So there are 12 residues. Fine. Now the branching enzyme will form last 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I clear to convey the message? This is how the first branch of glycogen will be produced. How? By transferring last 6. Remember, it has to be 10 to 12 units long at least. Then only you can take the last 6. It may be 20, 22, 25, doesn't matter, but at least 10 to 12 long. Fine. Then the last 6 glucose units are transferred 1 unit behind. Previously it was here, this whole portion was here, they clipped it and rejoined 1 unit behind. Correct? This is how a new branch point is generated. Now, in the next step, same enzyme, glycogen synthase, will go on adding like this. Again, branching enzyme will take 6 to form here one more branch point. So like this, branching will take place. Yeah? বুঝা গেল? So the enzymes are UDP, pyrophosphorylase, first enzyme, second enzyme, glycogen, synthase, third enzyme, branching enzyme. Correct? Now what is the initial enzyme which turns all the glucogenes towards the formation of glycogen? Phosphoglucomutase. Because all glucose are initially trapped into the cell by glucokinase or hexokinase. Then this glucose 6-phosphate is converted to glucose 1-phosphate, which is then added with UDP, then transferred to glycogen primer, then branching takes place, and so on. Yeah? So this is glycogen synthesis and breakdown. This is how a mature glycogen molecule looks like. This particular molecule has 2 glycogen chains in glycogen primer. This is one primer and this is another primer. See how densely branched they are. How densely branched. Now we come to regulation of glycogen metabolism. This is very, very important. Very, very important as far as examination is concerned. Regulation of glycogen metabolism. There are 2 pathways. Glycogen synthesis or glycogenesis and glycogenolysis or glycogen breakdown. Now these 2 occurs not simultaneously, like a switch. When you switch on, light is on, savings gone. When you switch off, light is gone, savings on. So either synthesis will take place or breakdown process. Who will decide? Hormones. Who will decide which hormone will be secreted? Metabolic state. How often and how much we have taken the food. তাই না? কত ফ্রিকোয়েন্টলি এবং কত পরিমাণে আমরা খাবার খেয়েছি তার উপর নির্ভর করবে কতটা হরমোন সিক্রেটেড হবে। বুঝা গেল? দুটো এনজাইম আছে, গ্লাইকোজেন সিনথেস আর গ্লাইকোজেন ফসফোরিলেজ, ইম্পর্টেন্ট এনজাইমসের মধ্যে। এই দুটো রেগুলেশন আমরা দেখব। এই পয়েন্টগুলো লিখে নাও। For glycogen phosphorylase, AMP activates phosphorylase. এটাকে আমরা কি ধরনের অ্যাক্টিভেটর বলবো? Allosteric activator. ATP and glucose inhibit phosphorylase. Thus, glycogen breakdown is inhibited when ATP and glucose 6-phosphate are plentiful. Okay? ATP is plentiful, glucose 6-phosphate is plentiful when we have taken a lot of food and not working at all. We are just taking rest. That time it will inhibit glycogen breakdown, and the opposite thing will happen with glycogen synthesis. It will be inhibited by just opposite action. Activation of glucose 6-phosphate occurs, or accumulation of glucose occurs when there is plenty of supply of glucose in the blood. Blood যখন অনেক গ্লুকোজ থাকবে, soon after taking food there will be a surge of glucose in the blood, then glycogen synthesis will take place. Okay? Done? Now, effect of glucagon on epinephrine. Glucagon and epinephrine. What is glucagon and what is epinephrine? Can tell me which organs they are secreted from? Which glands? Glucagon from pancreas, epinephrine from suprarenal glands or adrenal glands, correct? So these two are hyperglycemic hormone. Do you agree? We have only one hyperglycemic hormone, that is insulin. Rest all are hyperglycemic hormone. So these two are hyperglycemic hormone. They increase blood glucose level. How do they increase blood glucose level? Which pathway will help to increase blood glucose level? Glycogen synthesis or glycogen breakdown? Huh? Which pathway? Which pathway will increase blood glucose level? Glycogenolysis or glycogenesis? Glycogenolysis. Is it very important to see who is coming inside? Do you expect Royal Bengal tiger to hop in? Huh? Lack of concentration. So, if there is secretion of glucagon or epinephrine, then which pathway will be preferred? Glycogenolysis, correct? When this pathway will take place, the opposite pathway will stop. Insulin, on the other hand, will act just in the same, just opposite way that of the glucagon. Whatever and wherever glucagon will do, insulin will do just the opposite thing. It is just like Pakistan and India. Whatever we will do, they will do the opposite. Even if it is good or bad, doesn't matter. Insulin and glucagon is just like that. But it is not the same with other hyperglycemic hormones. Insulin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, TSH, thyroxine hormones. No, they are not same. Only in case of glucagon and epinephrine, insulin, they are completely opposite in action. But other hormones are not same. Right? With epinephrine, there are few exceptions for insulin. Now, what they will do? They will inhibit glycogen phosphorylase. Why? Because remember, first line for insulin. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. Means it increases dry weight of the body. So insulin must not inhibit processes which will increase the dry weight. Must not inhibit the process, means glycogen synthesis. And insulin must inhibit the process which decrease the dry weight. Correct? Because it is anabolic hormone. So it will inhibit glycogen breakdown and it will promote glycogen synthesis. Now this is called cascade pathway. Cascade means waterfall, falling step by step. জলপ্রপাতের মতন. Cascade pathway. When hormone attaches to the cell surface receptor, then a series of events start taking place inside the cell. There are internal connections with the receptors. It is very easy to demonstrate. If you can spare your ear to my hand, I can show you. If I twist your ear, your mouth will shout, cry, and eyes will shed tears. But I am not touching your mouth or your eyes. I am just twisting your ear, and effect will come from other sides. Similarly, cell surface receptors, they receive the hormones outside. These cell surface receptors has got three domains: extracellular domain, intercellular domain, and the one which connect the both called transmembrane domain. So any conformational change in the extracellular domain will bring about conformational change in the intercellular domain. And that will be propagated to the next event, some molecules. It will activate or deactivate, it will do something else, but it will do. Correct? And that pathway has shown here. How will do that? First of all, see, start from the beginning. You have to do it. You have to remember. Start writing. There is no option. More quickly you do this, we finish the chapter. First is attachment of hormone to the cell surface receptor. Here, via G protein, it is activated. Adenylate cyclase from inactive to active. Active adenylate cyclase then converts ATP to cyclic AMP plus PPI. Cyclic AMP can be broken down to AMP by phosphodiesterase. Okay, come up to this. So first is hormone. Hormone binds to the outside the cell. That brings about conformational change, shape and size. Conformational change in the inside the cell, which triggers or activates G protein, G alpha S, stimulatory protein bola hai, G alpha S bola hai. G protein, when activated, the G protein is then converts adenylate cyclase to active adenylate cyclase. Adenylate cyclase or adenylyl cyclase, both are same. This enzyme then converts ATP to cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP. This is the function of this particular enzyme, adenylate cyclase. Guanylate cyclase, GTP to cyclic GMP. কোথায় পাই আমরা? In retina. তাই না? দেখবো আমরা, we'll see that later. ATP to cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP is the key molecule inside the cell whose language the other molecules inside the cell will understand. Understood? Suppose you have visited in Israel and your friend to your friend's family, and your friend understands Hindi and you don't understand Israeli or Hebrew, right? So you say something to your friend and your friend will convey the same thing to her family members, right? In which language? The language which is unknown to you. So the friend acts as a messenger, correct? But we know the messenger is hormone. So this is second messenger. So cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, PIP2, calcium ion, IP3 or PIP2 same, inositol triphosphate. These are called, or diacetylglycerol, DAG. These are called second messenger, not secondary messenger. Second messenger. Correct? So second messenger cyclic AMP is produced from ATP. Now this cyclic AMP, remember the concentration of cyclic AMP inside the cell increases when outside the cell glucose concentration is low. Always remember, this is very, very important line. The concentration of cyclic AMP inside the cell increases when outside the cell glucose concentration is low. Clear? So that means glucagon has been secreted. Why? Because the glucose concentration is low. So that is why cyclic AMP is produced. Now cyclic AMP concentration should be increased and remain so high. Why? Otherwise, this enzyme will cleave all the cyclic AMP. It is a dynamic process. At every moment, some amount of cyclic AMP is being produced and some amount of cyclic AMP is being broken down by phosphodiesterase. So if the rate of production is higher than the rate of destruction of cyclic AMP, then slowly the concentration of cyclic AMP will start increasing in the cell. All intermediates will function the same way. Here, the phosphodiesterase enzyme is very, very important. Why? Because it is the only point where we can regulate whole cascade pathway. If we have an inhibitor which inhibit phosphodiesterase, then what will happen? Yes, bolo? যদি এটা ফসফোডাইএস্টার ইনহিবিটর থাকে তাহলে কি করব আমি? কি আছে এটা? হ্যাঁ? তাহলে সাইক্লিক অ্যামিক কনসেন্ট্রেশন বাড়বে। ফসফোডাইএস্টারেজ এনজাইমটার ইনহিবিটর যদি দিই তাহলে কি হবে? সাইক্লিক অ্যামিক কনসেন্ট্রেশন বাড়বে না কমবে? বাড়বে। তো বল, তাই না? কথা বল, ইন্টারাক্ট। সেটা একটা ইনহিবিটর নাম হচ্ছে ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট। কি বললাম? ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট। এই ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট কে তৈরি করে? ইনসুলিন। ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট কে তৈরি করে? ইনসুলিন। তাহলে অ্যাক্টিভ ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট তৈরি করে ইনসুলিন। তাহলে ইনসুলিন কি করবে? অ্যাক্টিভ ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট তৈরি করবে, যেটা এখানে দেখানো নেই, বড় বইতে পাবি। টু মেক ইট ইজিয়ার ফর ইউ, এটা এখানে দেখানো নেই। এই ফসফোডাইএস্টারেজকে ইনহিবিট করে ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট, যাকে আবার প্রোডাকশন বাড়িয়ে দেয় ইনসুলিন। তাহলে ইনসুলিন যদি প্রোডাকশন বাড়িয়ে দেয় তাহলে এটা বন্ধ হয়ে যাবে, তাই না? আর যদি প্রোডাকশন কমে যায় তাহলে এটা বাড়বে। তাহলে ইনসুলিন যখন নেই তখন কি হবে? ইনসুলিন নেই, কি হবে? ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট থাকবে। ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট যদি কম থাকে, এটা যদি কম থাকে ইনহিবিটর 1-ফসফেট, তাহলে কি হবে? ফসফোডাইএস্টারেজ অ্যাক্টিভ বেশি হবে, তাই তো? এটা ভেঙে যাবে, অপোজিট কাজ করবে। তাহলে এক সাইক্লিক এমপি কনসেন্ট্রেশন বাড়াতে সাহায্য করবে, কি হবে? বাই ইনক্রিজিং দিস activity of adenine cyclase, আরেকটা কি? by decreasing the activity of phosphodiesterase via lack of insulin, অপোজিট, দুটো দিকে। এক, আমি যেমন তোর বাবা তোকে তোর পকেট মানি বাড়িয়ে দিল, তুই ওটা একটা বাইক কিনবি, বাইকের দাম 1 লাখ টাকা। তোর বাবা বললো ঠিক আছে তোমার পকেট মানি আমি আজ থেকে 50,000 টাকা করে দিলাম। কথা বলছি, সবার বাবা কি তোর বাবা গরিব? আমাকে 1 লাখ টাকাও দেয় ছেলেকে, জান না? কিরে, তাই তো? তোকে বলছি, দেয় না? দেয় না বলছি, ঠিক আছে, ধরে নি দেয়, ঠিক আছে। আবার নির্মলা সীতারামন বললো যে পরের মাস থেকে বাইকের দাম 20% কমে যাবে। তাহলে কি হলো? ডাবল মজা। 2 মাসের টাকা জমিয়ে একটা বাইকও হলো, আবার 20,000 টাকা বেঁচেও গেল, তাই না? ঠিক সেরকম। তাহলে গ্লুকাগন সাইক্লিক এমপি যখন আমার বাড়াতে হবে, গ্লুকাগন সাইক্লিক এমপি কনসেন্ট্রেশন বাড়াবে, আবার ফসফোডাইএস্টারেজ কমে গিয়ে তার ব্রেকডাউনটাও কমে যাবে, তারপরে খুব তাড়াতাড়ি সাইক্লিক এমপি কনসেন্ট্রেশন বাড়বে। হলো? এটাই মোদ্দা কথা। হলো? প্রোটিন কাইনেজ এ টু প্রোটিন কাইনেজ বি, সরি প্রোটিন কাইনেজ এ মানে অ্যাক্টিভ ইনঅ্যাক্টিভ প্রোটিন কাইনেজ এ থেকে, এটাকে বলা হয়, এই যে প্রোটিন কাইনেজটা আছে এই যেটা করে, এটাকে বলা হয় সিডিপিকে। কি বলা হয়? সিডিপিকে, লিখি না, cyclic MP dependent protein kinase. This enzyme has got another name called CDPK, cyclic MP dependent protein kinase. So inactive CDPK to active CDPK, which then phosphorylates inactive phosphorylase kinase to active phosphorylase kinase. When if you phosphorylate, it will become active. Remember, phosphorylase require phosphate for activation, like this you remember. Phosphorylase require phosphate for activation. It is just opposite in case of glycogen synthase, opposite. So active phosphorylase can again be deactivated by phosphodiesterase, same enzyme. Again, there is a scope of action of insulin, same phosphodiesterase, same inhibitor 1 phosphate. Again, these phosphorylase, inactive phosphorylase to active phosphorylase by active phosphorylase kinase. Then active phosphorylase will cleave glycogen to individual glucose molecules for glycogen synthase. So much more simpler, একটা step কম আছে. Remember, this is taking place inside liver, not in muscle. In muscle is different. Glucagon, epinephrine get attached to plasma membrane where there is a receptor. The receptor triggers the activation of adenylyl cyclase. So ATP is converted to cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP then protein kinase CDPK activates. CDPK, protein kinase activates CDPK, then phosphorylase glycogen synthase activates CDPK, then directly phosphorylase CDPK glycogen synthase. There one more enzyme was there in between called phosphorylase kinase. Here directly it phosphorylase glycogen synthase. So glycogen synthase activated, glycogen synthase is now inactivated due to phosphorylation. So this is an example of covalent modification where phosphorylation inactivates or activates certain enzymes. Example of covalent modification. So UDP glucose plus glucose, this formation will stop. Why? Because glycogen synthase is inactive. In this form it is now. Protein phosphatase will stimulate this conversion, means bringing back the inactive to active form. Who will promote that? Correct? Protein phosphatase, diesterase, all these enzymes, see, will be stimulated by insulin. Fine. So these two are regulation pathway. Now we come to the end game of Avengers. Ultimately, throughout the movie, you see how they gather the gems, the machines, the time machine. At the end, what happens? The same thing what happened in case of Sholay, Bahubali. What? Direct confrontation. Huh? This is the direct confrontation. This is the key name chilo? Who was the villain in Avengers? Thanos. See? This is the Thanos, and you are like, key name chilo? Name some. Alone too you cannot stand. Group of Avengers. Alone you couldn't stand. Thanos was more intelligent, more powerful. Still, he got defeated. Why? Because of the story writer. Otherwise, Avengers had no power. It was a story writer who made Arjuna hero and Karna villain. Change the name, story will change. So this is the thing you have to start writing. This problem with your batch is, I have to say again and again, you start writing. I don't know why you are getting it automatically. You are not getting it. If I have pointed out, some importance is there. Simply was just like that I have put it. I have no other place to go or chit chat with. See, there are many people who are absent today. You are present. That doesn't show that you are dedicated. What you perform here after coming, that determines whether you are dedicated or not. Many people couldn't go home because their home is very far away place. That is the reason. Right? It's not the reason that you love my class. I know that. So it is needless to think that I would think that you people are the handful of most dedicated students of this batch. No, it is not right. I know that. Don't worry about that. You have to prove it by getting marks. I will remember your name only by two means. Either you break my head, I remember your name, make me bleed, or you make such a nice, good result that I'll remember your name. Either of these two. Another pathway is there. Suppose you take the vast decision to leave this world, and in your obituary we get 1 day holiday. Do you want to do that? Because you won't be alive to see the holiday. Everyone else will enjoy except you. Right? So whenever you want a holiday, just minus one of your batchmates, that's all. You get a holiday. And you can do it every year like obituary. In the name of our friend, this year we hold the classes suspended. Amar dabi, aajke chuti. Fine. So there are few columns. First you write this column: type, defective enzymes. Forget about this. Write clinical type, then you write name. Type, then next column you write name. Don't write, I will give time. Just write the columns: type, name, enzyme, clinical features, affected organ that you leave for the time being, okay? That you cannot remember now. Okay? Then you write clinical features, means what happens, what need to remember. Remember, all these diseases are very big, large domain. When you read medicine, then you will come to know each and every disease separately. For the time being, what we want you to remember: the name of the disease, the types, the defective enzyme, and the cardinal features by which you can separate another group of metabolic diseases from. You can separate these diseases from another group of metabolic disorders. So these group disorders are called GSD, glycogen storage disorders. GSD, glycogen storage disorders. So first we start with type 1. See, it's very simple. If you remember this way, you can remember it throughout your life. Remember this mnemonic: VPCAM, HT, VPCAM, HT, VPCAM, HT, VPCAM, HT, right? Type 1, von Gierke's disease. Von Gierke's or Gierke's disease. Spelling is very difficult, so that you copy from the slide. Because none of the name is English name, except one. Anyway, so von Gierke's disease, all ends with apostrophe S. Von Gierke's disease. Now you can say those who are from the very good school with a lot of pronunciation practice and all, they will say, sir, it's not von, it is von. You are correct. It is von. If you pronounce it in German. If you pronounce it in, Deutsch, not German. German is for us. For them it is like Bharat and India. Deutschland. Right? What a German will call Germany. What a German will call Germany. Deutschland. Like what an Indian will call India. Bharat. Okay, fine. So, von Judge disease. Like China will never, what a Chinese will call China? Chungo. That is called China. Same for Japan. Japan is the English name. Russia, English name. No. So von Gierke's disease is not English, so I don't care how I pronounce. Doesn't matter. It is their problem. What is your name, by the way? Huh? Mariam. Oh, wow. Now it is very auspicious name. Achha. Who became pregnant before marriage? And see, in Christian, in Muslim, no one can get pregnant before marriage. So sit down. Everyone knows here what is Mariam. Sit down. What is your name? Nandini. So this is how an American will pronounce it. Nandini. What a Bengali will pronounce, Bengali Oriya, Nandini. Similarly, so this von Gierke's disease, sit down, must be pronounced by his father, who gave the name. I am not his father. I can speak any way. Thing is, the spelling should be correct. Von Gierke's disease or von Gierke's disease. Second is Pompe's disease. Pompe apostrophe S. Pompe. Type 2. Pompe's disease. We will remember vertically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then vertically name. V. Von Gierke's disease. P. Pompe's disease. C. Cori's disease. A. Cori's disease. A. Spelling. All Swiss. Those, see, in Indian team, there may not be any saints. But in Switzerland team, there are many saints. Andersen, S-E-N. Not Anderson. Andersen. Don't look at me, I get embarrassed. Andersen. Correct? And remember, he's Swiss, not Indian. We have more saints in Switzerland than India. Anyway, next is M. McArdle, McGarty, all these kind of McArdles. McDonald's, McDowell. McDonald's is McDowell? Don't know? McDowell? You know? No. The smile says he knows. She knows it better way. The smile says she knows what is McArdle, but she knows it better way. That's why she has, like when we're when a small kid, suppose you go to any marriage ceremony, you come and ask your mother, Mom, what happens after marriage? Because you are innocent, blissful state. Now, can you ask the same question now? What will happen? You will receive a tight from your mom. Now you know that babies are not given by God. No pelican or heron will carry the baby to the mother's lap. No drops of dew will give rise to a baby in the morning. Similarly, so this is McArdle's, correct? Sixth, horse disease is not harsh, horse. H-E-R-S. Horse. Name is horse, not her. So horse, then apostrophe, disease. When you have S in the end, apostrophe comes after that. Horse disease. The name is actually horse. H-E-R-S, then apostrophe. Horse disease. Right? Then last is Tarui. Tarui, Japanese. Tarui. Hello? কতদূর আসলাম? এই পর্যন্ত এটা বাদ দাও, বুঝুন নেই। There are 9 to 11 such diseases. We need to remember 7. And if you are poor enough to remember 7, then at least remember 5. If you are poor enough to remember 7, at least remember 5. Done? What is next? Quickly now. Enzyme defect. First, tell me the name, I'll tell you the enzyme defect. Quickly. First is Gierke's disease, glucose 6-phosphorylase deficiency. Second is Pompe's disease, acid maltase. Write down, acid maltase. Type 3, Cori's disease, debranching enzyme. Type 4, Anderson's disease, branching enzyme. Type 5, muscle phosphorylase enzyme. Type 6, liver phosphorylase enzyme. Type 7, phosphorylase kinase in muscle. And type 8, phosphorylase kinase in liver. Same thing, liver and muscle and liver. Up to 7 you remember, fine? Now, the clinical features, what you get in Gierke is very, very important, the large one. First of all, hypoglycemia, hypertriglyceridemia, hypertriglyceridemia, hyperuricemia, lactic acidosis, to 5, enlargement of liver, hello, but not life-threatening. They don't die. They don't die. You give them food, they will survive. What is the problem? Problem is they cannot utilize the glycogen stored in the liver. So what will happen? If you sleep, they will have hypoglycemic attack during sleep. So what do we have to do? We have to make them awake and feed them, and then they can sleep for 2-3 hours. Again, we feed them. For every 2-3 hours, they have to eat small amount. Right? How is it possible to keep an eye like that? Very simple. Put a glucose tank behind, like a backpack, and add one channel here. That's all. With a pump and with a one sensor, which senses whenever the glucose level falls below 80, 70, it will give some amount of glucose. Yes, that is the modern way treatment of this disease. In USA it is available. In our state, it is not. You have to wake up and feed. And they can do it. They can go to college, university with that backpack. Only thing is, the channel is there. Automatically it will sense the blood glucose falling and start putting the glucose drip. Next, type 2, acid maltase deficiency. What happens here? See, death due to cardiac failure, congestive heart failure. Death due to congestive heart failure. What happens here? Patient dies within 2 years of age. Very early. This is fatal. This is fatal. But people die. Correct? Number 3. The symptoms are same as number 1, but milder. Number 3. Symptoms same as but milder. Number 4, type 4. What is here? Fatal, same as type 2. But here it was heart failure. This is right. So type 2 and type 4 are fatal. Rest all are not. Type 2 die before the age of 2 due to cardiac failure, congestive heart failure. Type 4 death due to liver failure. Type 5, what is the name? McArdle. M for muscle. What is the enzyme defect? Muscle phosphorylase. So what is the organ affected? Only muscle. There is no hypoglycemia, there is no lactic acidosis. Only exercise intolerance. Only exercise intolerance. Type 6, heart disease. Liver phosphorylase. What will happen? Same as type 1 but milder. Type 7, where is the location? Phosphatidylkinase, PFK of muscle, like type 5. Means exercise intolerance but milder. Because directly phosphorylase enzyme is not deficient, phosphorylase kinase is deficient. Right?